Hi, I'm Craig Phillips, and in this video I'm going to show you how to build your own workshop storage unit out of reclaimed wood. I'd always recommend starting off by drawing yourself a diagram first with your sizes on. I've built this one 1200mm high by 800mm wide and 400mm deep. It's got two doors that will open, little latch on the inside, perfect for storing all of your tools. And it's also got a little secret drawer at the bottom for storing your batteries. Now the tools you're going to require to build your unit: miter saw, clamps, set square, screws, track saw, or if you haven't got a track saw, a circular saw will do. If you don't have either, a hand saw, planer, cordless drills and a jigsaw. Once you've completed your drawing and you've decided what size you want to build your unit, you can start cutting a kit of parts. I've got pallet strips here, which are 1200mm in length. So I'm going to have them as my entire height of the unit. So nothing needs to be cut off them. They're going to be set out like this. Then I've got some smaller sections, again, all from broken down pallets. I'm just going to chop these down at 800mm. Using the miter saw. Remember safety at all times. So now my slats are cut to size, I'm going to start making the back panel. Starting off on the very top of that slat, making sure it's nice and square before we put the first screw in. Now the first one for me is quite important because the first one kind of dictates where the rest of them are going to go. Just using little small 20mm screws. They don't need any pilot hole drilling in them. They just go through the soft timber and grab the one below. Double check that it's not sticking to your workbench before you continue. There's the second one in place. I'm going to line that up against that edge and make sure this edge is also square. Now that's the 12th slat now all fixed together to these slats, making it 1200mm upstand for the back. All I need to do now is create two more of these exactly the same, but just 400mm wide for the two sides. Now the side section is very similar to the back. We've got our two uprights here and our slats going across. It's just 400mm wide. But one slat, you can see, I've screwed it down about 30mm in. The reason being is my back piece, which is laying down flat there, I want that to mount right onto the corner, nice and flush here. And then I can simply screw into there. But before I do, I'm going to apply a little bit of glue on that joint. Now the same again for the second side. Plenty of glue along here for the strength. Okay, so that's the two sides now connected to the back. All I need to do now is use the same type of pallet wood and create a top section and a bottom section. Now the top's fitted on, I'll do the exact same on the bottom. Now I've put two little runners along the very bottom. So when I lift this up, it's going to bring it off the ground just a small bit, because I want to put a drawer in the bottom of here and I need just that little bit of clearance so it opens and closes easy. But you could actually hang it on the wall if you want to. If you look up at the top corners now, I've applied two thick sections of timber, glued and screwed in, and same again at the bottom. That'll keep it nice and rigid, so if you bolted it to the wall, it will be perfect as well. So this is the frame for my drawer. I found some smaller pieces off the pallet, and then the standard 100mm one, which is a bit wider for the top. I'm just going to check that that fits into my cupboard space. Yep, fits quite nice in there. So I'm going to remove that. All I'm going to do now is cut a piece of MDF just about 9mm wide to go right the way along the bottom. It's going to be glued and screwed in there. And that is one drawer. Double check again and it fits inside. You often find that these pallet woods have a little bit of unevenness to them. It can be a bit tricky, but that fits in perfect there. You can probably see I've left the front section overhanging wider there, so of course it catches on the end and it covers to the corner, just like that. Next stage is the doors. Now, as you can see, the structure of the door is very similar to the two sides we made earlier and the back as well. We've got the slats going across the centre and two uprights holding it all into position. I've cut these just short of 400mm because the width of my cupboard is 800, but I need a small gap in the centre. Got one more to do. Now, I mentioned a moment ago that I was cutting my doors a little bit shorter than 400mm because the width was 800. I wanted to plant a little batten just along the edge there of both doors just to make it a little bit stronger in the centre where they meet. Now I'm going to construct some shelves for the inside to hold the tools in position. The first one is going to be right here on the bottom, covering up the top of the drawer. So what I'm going to start with, two small pieces of timber. I'm going to screw in either side of the drawer itself. The reason for doing this is for when the top shelf above that, when the shelf above that is laid onto position, it'll give it a nice clearance for this drawer to be able to move in and out. So the battens are in place. Now I've cut some slats which will slide across, sit on top of them two battens, and that'll bridge all the way across that drawer into here. And of course it still allows it to slide in and out. Now, this one along here is not going to fit in, of course, because we've got these battens across the side. So I'm just going to mark that with my pencil and notch it out and it should slide in position quite easily. Perfect. So that is our first shelf in there, covering up the drawer. The next stage is to apply one in the center. Now I'm going to put this one on a bit of an angle on here. So I've cut both sides at 15 degrees, drilled a couple of little pilot holes in them. They will now mount against the two uprights here and get screwed in. Now the two battens are fitted in either side on an angle. I'm going to bridge across the center, just like what we did with the bottom shelf. But this time I'm going to leave a small gap just in between. Like that. Now my third and top shelf, I want to bridge across the top, but I want to cut out some slots in there to be able to stick the drills into position and hold in place. So what I need to do is cut out some slots into the actual panel itself. I'm going to do 5 all in all. So I've got my center point, which is here. I'm going to start by drilling a hole with a hole cutter right in the center of the timber. Okay, so there's the piece of wood right in the center there. I've cut out. What I did do was I clamped that section of wood down with another piece underneath that I'm not going to use. So I'll take my clamps off for now. We can see we've got a hole in here. Next stage is take my set square and just draw 2 lines going up to the edge of the cutout circle. Again, I'm going to clamp them down on here and saw that out. Now that's cut out, with my drill should slot into place. I've fitted 2 level battens on there and 2 more piece of pallet slats pushed to the back. So my cutout piece should slide in there, drop into place, push it back up to them. And my drills should sit nicely like that. All I need to do now is hang the doors. Now you can probably notice at the top of the door I've put another slat in there just to brace it up. As for the hinges, I'm using 2 flush hinges. They're screwed in relatively about 100mm, 150mm from top and bottom is fine. But when you're fitting these doors, sometimes it can be a little bit tricky, so you need an extra hand to hold them into place while you're screwing that to the frame. Okay, so that's my 2 doors now hung. All I need to do now is fit the door knobs and the latch. And the knobs are really easy to fit. Drill a pilot hole in, push your screw right throughout, and then simply hand tighten it from the front. Once that's hand tightened, that should be fine. On the inside, I've fit a small latch so we can keep that door nice and closed. And then for the top section, I've got a little small piece of noggin here, drilled a little pilot hole in it, applied a screw, and this is going to act as a latch to hold this in place. So I'll screw it in first. Perfect. It's nice and tight. Close that up. And that's your workshop storage unit complete. All you've got to do now is fill it up with Silverline tools. And if you want to watch any more how-to videos, please visit the website silverlinetools.com.